I wonder, who was missing from your dining table this Christmastide? Who for you is the person whom you love but see no longer? This is the euphemism that we often use in the church to talk about death without saying the word. Because in the church, and often in British culture, the word death is almost seen as being a dirty word, something that we all experience and yet strangely cannot name. So we use euphemisms like fell asleep, passed away, or in the case of children for whom we simply cannot bear to use such a heavy word, we say that they gained their wings. And then when we remember those who are gone from our sight and are certain that we sense their presence, we find them in the sight of robins, or sometimes in drifting feathers. In fact, many of us have become so adept at hiding the reality of our losses and griefs that during times of celebration and seasons of festivity, we can end up feeling isolated from those who are visibly celebrating, and in one sense, wishing that we could speak openly about how we may be feeling, while also feeling frightened of spoiling someone else's day if we do. And so sadness is kept firmly behind festive trees, bright lights, far too much turkey, and warmly cozy stable scenes where a baby rests, as we sing about him being meek and mild, and insist that no crying he makes, or that glorious old chestnut beloved of parents everywhere, Christian children all must be mild, obedient, good as he. I hope you're taking notes, young man. How we have sanitized Christmas in an effort to avoid acknowledging the discomfort, the reality of being human, and of living in a broken, often lonely and hurting world. In fact, there are some who would very much like it if we didn't read the Gospel according to Matthew chapter 2, because it's a bit grim, talking about all of those children under the age of 2 who were murdered by a tyrant because of the birth of the one whose cozy stable scene we celebrated just 3 days ago. Can't we just keep things festive for a little bit longer? Wouldn't it be wonderful if it was so easy to avoid grief? If the Nativity actually allowed us to tuck it away in a little turkey and cranberry shaped parcel for a little bit longer so that we could keep on celebrating. But the story of our faith does not allow us to do that. Because just days after we mark the moment when angels appeared to a group of humble shepherds telling them, "Rejoice, the King is born," our gospel reading plunges us back into horrific grief. Because a voice is heard in Ramah, wailing and loud lamentation. Rachel weeping for her children, she refuses to be consoled because they are no more. There's something about death that, despite our faith, feels so very final, particularly for those who died too early, too young, too soon. But our culture and the celebration of this festive season so often demands that we tuck that away under tinsel and lights. But as a vicar, I am often confronted with people asking, begging, shouting, weeping, why? Why did God let this happen to me, to my family, to the one whom I loved? If God is supposed to be so good, then why does he allow this? And you know what the honest truth is? I don't have good answers. I wish I did. But it might surprise you that the wearing of this piece of plastic does not make me immune from the heavy or difficult questions of life. It does not protect my throat from closing as I stand beside an empty grave and quietly say, as a person is lowered into it, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. It doesn't stop me from feeling and remembering my own hurts and griefs, even while I sometimes try to hold those of others. And while it is not actually my intention to depress or upset you this morning, I do think that today's gospel reading means we need to be willing to name it and to not shy away from it. Because if we do shy away from the contradiction of our faith that holds both the hope of Emmanuel together with the horrific deaths of the holy innocents, then we no longer do justice to the complexity of the story. In the Gospels, life sits right alongside death. Hope is intertwined with loss. Love cradles grief. And just like in our own lives, there are always empty chairs at the dinner table. You know, there are always moments in the ministry of any priest that stick with us and never quite go away. There are a few of those for me, but one of the most poignant was a few years ago when I spent time serving as an honorary chaplain at Birmingham Children's Hospital. It was December, and the hospital was decorated as staff were trying to bring just a little bit of cheer to the lives of families and children who were enduring some of their worst moments. One day, Reverend Catherine and I walked into intensive care, where we met a young couple to take that walk with them. I walked with Dad, who carried a tiny white box. And Reverend Catherine put her arm around Mum's shaking shoulders. And as we walked down those long hospital corridors, people just parted and left the way open for us. And as we approached the beauty and the horror of the bereavement suite, I will never forget the archway of rainbow lights that approached that place, or the soft sound of silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, playing over the speakers. Even now, 7 years later, that moment is imprinted on my heart. And what a strange thing to share with you today. Just 3 days after we have marked the celebration of the birth of a child and sung carols of joy. But for me, here is the truth of that moment, of today's gospel and of our faith itself. Grief exists alongside joy. Love exists alongside lament. Celebration exists alongside loneliness. We cannot hide from one in favor of another because life just doesn't work like that. There will always be loss. There will always be pain. There will always be unanswered questions. There will always be grief. None of us knows what the future holds or whose chair might be empty this time next year, and for whom we will weep, unable to be comforted because one whom we have loved is no more. But do you know what the genuine nugget of hope is in this story? Emmanuel, God is with us. God does come to us in moments of celebration and of joy, just as God came to us on Wednesday evening and on Thursday. God is with us in happiness, in peace, and in love. And God is also with us in moments of heart-rending grief, in the moments when we wail with loss and refuse or unable to be comforted. God is with us when we have questions that stubbornly refuse to be answered, this side of heaven anyway. That is both the truth and it is also our hope. Emmanuel, God is with us in all things and through all things and during all things. So no matter whether you personally are celebrating and full of joy this Christmas season, or whether you are lonely, grieving, or sad, or know somebody else who is, God is with you. God is with those whom you love and have loved and perhaps see no longer. No matter who has been at your table this week or who may be at it in the days to come, or who was missing from your table, or whose chair may be empty next year, God has not forgotten you, and God will never forget you. It's okay to be real. It's okay to be honest. And it's okay to lay how you really feel before God and before the church today. So I'd like to encourage us just to take a moment to reflect. It may be you, it may be somebody else, but there will be a slide on the screen and a piece of music playing that I'd encourage you to hold a moment of quiet for any of those for whom this applies.
Stretches out across distant plains. In the light of reason, I can keep my sanity. But in the darkness, I cannot control my fears. I have walked already some great distance, and my soul is weary of the journey. But when I feel that there's no end to all the searching, be the voice that tells me to believe. Be the hand that guides, be the arm your truth. Give me the courage not to close my eyes and hide. As I hold the mirror to my soul, I have walked already some great distance, and I'm glad of the strength